Hey guys, so a lot of people has been asking some of the same questions after my videos, and those are how often do I water my plants during summertime, and do I fertilize my plants? Also, there was a question if my plants in Serbia are fertilized differently than plants in the United States because they seem to grow faster. So in this video I want to talk about watering and fertilizing, and also show you my mini greenhouse that I use to avoid overwatering. And so let's start with watering. So the simplest answer to question how often do I water my plants during summer is once a week. There are exceptions to that. For example, when we have very dry periods where there is no rain, there is a lot of airflow, and I see that the soil is very dry and it's separating from the pot, mostly in cactuses and euphorbias that are on the south facing side, I may water them every 4 to 5 days. So far this summer it has been very humid. So to give you an example how humid is here in Michigan, the humidity is between 90 and 100% most of the summertime, and we run 2 dehumidifiers on both levels of the house all day long, all the time, whole summer, and they're full every 8 to 10 hours, and we have to empty them. They're 50 pints dehumidifier, so a lot of water that's pulled out of the air every day. So you can just imagine how much more humid it is outside. And it has been raining a lot, and some of the days it has been raining almost without break. So I haven't been watering more often than once a week. Actually, with some of the plants I have prolonged the time between the waterings to 10 days. For example, my Buddha temple, because it was really wet and humid, and crassulas are dormant in the middle of the summer, I decided to prolong the time of the watering to 10 days. So you may check your soil, your plants, you check humidity levels, but generally I water once a week during the summertime. Many people ask, should I cover my plants? Definitely. If you live in a state like I live in Michigan, where it's raining a lot, it's high humidity, I cannot leave my plants to be watered whenever it's raining. I have to control the water intake, and that's why I have these mini greenhouses. And I actually leave them covered almost all the time. It was about a few days ago that at 5 a.m. I heard that it's starting to rain, and it was pouring suddenly. And I obsessively checked forecast, and there was no clouds, there was no forecast that there will be rain. And when I heard the rain, I woke myself up, I ran half undressed on the deck and started covering all my plants. My biggest fear was my lithops and split rocks, because they really, especially the baby lithops, they could not take huge amounts of water, pouring for hours. So since then I have decided I'm going to keep it covered, and even partially covered, because I don't want them to be completely closed and have no airflow, but I don't want them to have unexpected rain. So I would highly recommend you to find a place for your succulents and cactuses that's either covered porch or covered deck, or have a mini greenhouse. So here are my 2 mini greenhouses. This one here I just ordered this year, and it was same dimensions as the one that I have from last year, which was not too bad, not too wobbly. And I didn't pick the cheapest one. I really looked at the reviews and tried to pick the one that seemed to have the best reviews. Oh my gosh. As soon as this thing arrived, a second day, the plastic started completely bending and melting and actually breaking like this. I have some pictures that I can show you. And I had to lean it to deck and support it by the chairs, and I'm putting only a few pots on each shelf that are very light. As you can see, really small pots, plastic pots, because even this seems to be too heavy for it. And then on this one I'm putting more heavy plants. This is not the best solution, but if you can get it, you can still control water intake. This one is very wobbly. I would not recommend you this one. This one was bought in Lowe's, but they don't sell that one anymore, so I don't know where you can find it. Certainly it would be ideal having a much bigger greenhouse. Okay, now I'm back to talk about fertilizing. So first, to answer a question about my plants, succulents in Serbia, no, they have not been fertilized. And this just shows how you can get away without fertilizing and even without having a great gritty mix if you have favorable other conditions. So what's so great about the conditions that my succulents in Serbia have? First, summer season, spring season is much longer than here, so about 2 more months they get of the nice warm weather. Winters are much milder and they have winter rest, which my succulents don't have, unfortunately, because even cactuses are inside of the house on a higher temperatures and it's more dry, and if you watch my videos you know that I had a problem that some of the cactuses dried up because they haven't been watered very much during the winter time. So in Serbia, my apartment never goes below 10 degrees Celsius or 50 degrees Fahrenheit, but it doesn't go above 66 during the winter, or about 16 or 17 degrees Celsius. So it's like really nice temperature for them to have a winter rest, and they also get ton of sunlight because it's a big south-facing window on a higher level, so a lot of sunshine all through the year. My mom, when she comes every few weeks, she will ventilate the apartment and give them just a little bit of water each time. During the summertime, they are watered once a week. My mom feels that they should be watered more often in Serbia because they get dry, but I have been giving her very specific directions with crasulas because I was really concerned that they can rot if she, during the rest time, starts watering them more often than once a week. I also wanted to tell you that my succulents in Serbia don't really have a cactus soil mix either. Most of them have just a regular soil. I went to one of the flower shops and the only soil they had, I think it was for either orchids or violets. So I got that soil, got some perlite, mixed it up, and it was very airy. The soil was very airy, but it wasn't a cactus soil mix, and plants seem to be just fine. So here in United States, I have started using some fertilizers. This one here that's called Dynamite, cactus and succulent food that promotes flowers and growth. I bought at Home Depot. It was pretty inexpensive and it's pretty large. You're supposed to like sprinkle these little bowls of fertilizer on top of the soil and then thoroughly water, and then they just stay there on top of the soil, and when you water, I don't know, they dissolve, I suppose. I have used this only on the plants that are here in the greenhouses, mini greenhouses. My cactuses and euphorbias have been getting fertilizer that I made a few times. So this is actually a recipe that Retro Ray gave me. I don't know why he didn't make a video about it because his succulents look absolutely amazing. You can check out his channel. They are some of the healthiest succulents you can see on YouTube. But he recommended grounding dry and washed eggshells, and when you ground them in like a coffee grounder, they become like a powder, and then mixing them into distilled water and then adding to that tea bags. In my case, because I have a lot of herbs in the garden, I have used some of my herbs. I have lemon balm, I have mint, I have a lot of nettle, and recipe that I used to use for vegetable garden, I think it's 6 weeks you're supposed to soak nettle in water. It has a very, very bad smell, but it's supposed to be wonderful for your vegetables. So I didn't do anything like that for succulents, but I did use some of the nettle and some of the herbs and mixed it up with grounded eggshells and distilled water. One time I have not used distilled water, I have used just rainwater, and I think it was no difference. So I would definitely recommend you try that. I have also in the past used one of those fertilizers that you can buy in Lowe's and Home Depot that's like a little pump, and you kind of drop like few drops of fertilizer before watering in each pot. I don't know if it's the best kind of fertilizer. I honestly have concluded that this fertilizer with herbs and eggshells seem to be the best one, because I think that my euphorbias and cactuses really enjoyed it. So thank you guys for watching. I hope these tips have been helpful to you, and I hope they answer your questions. So watering in general once a week, but pay attention to humidity levels and how much rain do you get, because then you may need to prolong periods between waterings. Make sure that your succulents are covered at all times if you're living in a state like Michigan where it rains a lot, because you have to control water intake. Fertilizing, I don't do fertilizing in Serbia, but they have wonderful other conditions that help them grow. Here in US, I have been fertilizing last year and this year, and I personally like the best fertilizer that I make myself, and that's the one with water, eggshells, and tea. Or you can use herbs from your garden like nettle and mint and lemon balm and mix it in the water and leave it for like a few days before you're gonna rinse it and water your plants. So see you in the next video.